Frances Farmer was born in Seattle, Washington, on September 19, 1913, to Ernest and Lillian Farmer. At age of 4, her parents separated, and Lillian took Frances and her siblings to Los Angeles, California, then eventually north to Chico, California. Frances would return to Washington to live with her father after her mother decided that would be best for Frances. Lillian would return to Seattle to live with her estranged husband and the children. In the fall of 1929, when Farmer was 16, Lillian and Ernest divorced, and Lillian moved to Bremerton, Washington, while the children remained with their father. In 1931, while a senior at West Seattle High School, Frances entered and won $100 from the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards, a writing contest sponsored by Scholastic magazine, with her controversial essay, God Dies. After graduating from high school, Frances enrolled at the University of Washington, majoring in journalism. During her sophomore year, Frances became involved with the university's drama department productions. She starred in numerous plays, including Helen of Troy, Everyman, and Uncle Vanya. In late 1934, she starred in UW's production of Alien Corn, which earned her good reviews in the local press. During her final year of college in 1935, Frances won a subscription contest for the leftist newspaper, The Voice of Action. She won a trip to the Soviet Union. Frances accepted the prize, despite her mother's objections, so that she could see the Moscow Art Theater. The same year, she graduated from the university with a Bachelor of Arts degree in drama. Returning from the Soviet Union in the summer of 1935, Frances stopped in New York City. There, she met talent agent Shepard Traub, who referred her to Paramount Pictures scout Oscar Serlin, who arranged for a screen test. Paramount offered her a 7-year contract, which Frances signed in New York City on her 22nd birthday. September 19, 1935. November 1935, she was cast in the B-movie Too Many Parents, a comedy about young men in military school. The film was a box office success. In February 1936, Frances married actor Leif Erikson. Later that year, Frances was cast in her first A feature, Rhythm on the Range. It was a Western starring Bing Crosby. She would later say, "I had a crush on him since my high school days and stood in awe of the fact that in my first important film, I was actually working as his leading lady." During the summer of 1936, she was lent to Samuel Goldwyn to appear in Come and Get It, in which she portrayed a young woman pursued by her mother's former lover. Howard Hawks was originally signed to direct, but was replaced by William Wyler midway through production. Frances did not get along with Wyler. Frances left Hollywood in mid-1937 to do summer stock on the East Coast, performing in Westchester, New York, and Westport, Connecticut. There, she attracted the attention of director Harold Clurman and playwright Clifford Odets, who invited her to appear in a 3-month production of Odets's play Golden Boy. In 1938, she returned to Hollywood to star in Ride a Crooked Mile with her husband Leif Erikson. In April 1939, she returned to Broadway to star in Quiet City and The Fifth Column, in which she would withdraw from that play because of her drinking and depression. In 1940, she returned to Hollywood to star in Paramount film South of Pago Pago. During the next 2 years, she would become hard to work with. She was eventually suspended by Paramount in 1942 for refusing to accept a role in the movie Take a Letter, Darling. Her marriage to Leif Erikson ended that same year. On October 19, 1942, Frances was stopped by Santa Monica police for driving with her headlights on high beam during the wartime blackout zone. Some reports stated she was unable to produce a driver's license and was verbally abusive to the officers. The police suspected her of being drunk, and she was jailed overnight. Frances was fined $500 and given a 180-day suspended sentence. She paid $250 and was put on probation. By January 1943, Frances had failed to pay the remainder of her fine, and a bench warrant was issued for her arrest. January 13, 1943, police went to the Knickerbocker to arrest her, but she did not surrender peacefully. At her hearing the following morning, Frances behaved erratically and threw an inkwell at the judge. Frances was sentenced to 180 days in jail, but instead was taken to the local mental ward at the Los Angeles General Hospital. She was diagnosed as a manic depressive. She would spend the next several years in and out of mental institutions, including Western State Hospital in Washington State. She was released in 1950 to the care of her mother, Lillian. Her mother died in 1955. Frances would eventually marry again, and that marriage ended in divorce in 1957. While working as a bookkeeper in Eureka, California, Frances would meet Leland Mikesell. He was from Indianapolis. The couple would move to San Francisco, where they would marry in 1958. Frances appeared twice on The Ed Sullivan Show and also on This Is Your Life with Ralph Edwards. While performing in Indianapolis in 1959 in the play The Chalk Garden, Frances was approached by a local producer to host her own TV show. She accepted the role, stayed in Indianapolis, and soon started her daytime run of Frances Farmer Presents. She would soon divorce her third husband. Frances's daytime show would end in 1964, but she would remain in Indianapolis. She became actress in residence at Purdue University and attempted to start her own business with friend Jean Ratcliffe, whom she met while in Indianapolis. Their business venture failed after funds were embezzled by their business financial advisor. In 1968, she formally converted to Roman Catholicism, as she claimed to have felt God in her life and sensed that she would have to find a disciplined avenue of faith and worship. In the spring of 1970, Frances was diagnosed with esophageal cancer, which was attributed to a life of heavy smoking. She died of cancer at Indianapolis Community Hospital on August 1, 1970, thus ending the life of a one-time Hollywood starlet. She is interred at Oaklawn Memorial Gardens Cemetery in Fishers, Indiana,